Oh my gosh, this is harder than I thought it would be. So I guess I gotta like rush through it. But this is the Dear Me, Dear Melissa, Dear what I would tell my younger self. And I don't want to talk fast, but like, I mean, I posted like, I don't know, I didn't post, but I recorded like 2 or 3 videos. Um, I would tell my younger self, don't sweat the small stuff. Don't worry about those people that made fun of you when you were young. I mean, there was a lot of people that made fun of me, and I went into detail a lot in my other videos, but it keeps, I don't know what's going on, but I'm not gonna do it all night. I only get privacy for a little bit of time. But yeah, I was made fun of a lot being younger and being overweight. I mean, I wasn't little and overweight. I was, um, the fifth, sixth, seventh, that kind of grade, and people made fun of you to be overweight and call you names and stuff, and it's hard to take that. And I took it to heart, and I cry and all. By the time I came to junior high, um, there was people that wanted to beat me up, and I have no idea why. I was still that scared, naive seventh grader who eighth graders wanted to beat me up, and I would tell that girl, be strong. And you know what? I told that little girl, because come eighth grade, I lost a lot of weight, and I went into high school, and I told that little girl, don't let them pick on you. Be a strong girl. Don't worry about it. And I did, and I came through high school. Um, okay, I mean, everybody has their own high school experiences. I had mine. I mean, I loved my high school experiences. Um, I had a lot of, there's a lot of trouble, and I don't know if there was a lot of people that, I mean, I don't want to say it. I mean, it was a lot of jealousy, not from my friends' part, but other people, thinking that I was this little rich girl, and, it wasn't even about that. I mean, I'm not a rich girl. I didn't make money in high school. I mean, it'd been my parents. So why would people hold that against me? But I had older kids hold that against me and want to beat me up because of that. And, that part, I don't know how to look back on that part. That part I brush it off now. It was what it was. I got into a lot of trouble back then because in seventh and eighth grade, I didn't stand up for myself, and in high school I did. And when I did, I got in trouble for it. So in that part, it's gone. It's brushed off. And I forgive those girls that were, they were mean girls. They were older and they were mean girls, and, they did what they did. But like, you know, being younger, I would tell the younger girl when I was overweight, and was made fun of. I, you have to have a tough skin. And you know what? You know what's good is because I've told, I've told, I've told my daughter who now, she was the beauty queen, she was pageant girl, but now, yeah, she is overweight. She's very productive. She's, advanced dance, and she does a lot of stuff, but she's got a tough skin also. And if people want to make fun of her, and there's no one that will make fun of her because she has such a tough skin. And so I know that nobody would ever mess with her, and that's what's good. And if I would have had that person to tell me, you'll have that tough skin one day, I wish I would. Um, Friendships in high school, I had good friendships. I had a few friends. It was good. I had a boyfriend who I ended up marrying. Childhood, I wish I would have kind of done that a little bit differently. I mean, I'm glad, he's still my husband. We're still together. I mean, we've been married 22 years almost, 22, 23 years almost. Together 26 years, 27 years. Um, Ups and downs, very much so, very hard. I wish I would have explored, you know, other dating options, but it is what it is, and that's what happened, and that's where my life ended up as. And it's as happy as it's going to be right now. So if I could tell the younger Melissa back then, dating wise, Melissa, you should have dated more. And that's what would have told her. Dated more. but that's okay. Um, Family, I love my family to death. I have great family, and I have some, not so good family that are not in my life anymore. And you find out who is your good family, when your parents pass away, actually. That's when you find out really who's there for you. And I found out a lot after my parents passed away. As of my parents, I couldn't do much differently with them. They were great providers. My mom was great, loving. My dad was I wasn't that close with him growing up. He was a workaholic, and then, he was an alcoholic too. And that was hard. But as a kid, you deal with it. You don't talk about it. You brush it aside and you deal with it. And then you grow up, and things happen. And I don't want to go so much into detail. My dad was a great dad. I mean, he was a great provider. That's what I'll say. He was a great provider. When he got sick, so was my mom. My mom was very sick. My dad actually had a stroke and two heart attacks before we found out my mom was sick with lung cancer. So we all pulled through with my dad, and he came out strong, like I knew he would, because my dad is a fighter, and he fought until the very end. Um, for my mom, she was more on the weaker side, and they both were smokers. My dad continued to smoke till he couldn't anymore, until his last few days. My mom quit right after I had Tyler. So before I found out she had lung cancer, it was probably 15 years. And I don't even know what to say about that. I don't know if to say that quitting smoking is going to cure you, because if you smoke all your life, I mean, what card are you dealt? You're still maybe dealt with that lung cancer card, and she was dealt that card, and and it happens to the sweetest of people, and it happened to her. Um, that was my best friend. That was the hardest part of my life right there, I think. Um, I can't tell the dear Melissa at that part of my life, because I'm still dealing with that. So um, she was diagnosed. Um, she died in 2012. So she lived, after her diagnosis, she lived for about 11 months. Um, we didn't think that well, I didn't. I didn't think she would have died that quick. I was so mostly dependent on her. I mean, not dependent, but dependent as a best friend, because she was my best friend. She was my kids' grandmother, my kids' everything. So it was hard. It was hard to grow up, and I guess, that's when I had to grow up. I guess I grew up in 2011. I guess. Of course, I did earlier, but I mean, when I really had to start being an adult was when I had to, take her to our chemo appointments, or, finding her in different places. I mean, it's, you know, I will, I'll tell that story too. There's a story there to be told too, my parents. I will, but this is Dear Me. So yeah, that was hard. My mom did live 11 months after she was diagnosed, and it spread to her brain, and I won't even go into detail, because that'll be another story that I'll tell for that one. But my dad died 30 days before she did. Um, so he died of, I mean, they say heart failure. I mean, we really don't know what it was. It was just different things with him. It was never lung cancer with him, and he smoked up until you know, he couldn't. So it was, he had a stroke, he had two heart attacks. So it was lung disease and heart disease and emphysema. It was all that. But he died 30 days to the day, and then my mom passed away. So I'm going to end it on that note. A lot of people know, my story of my parents passing 30 days of each other, and how hard it's been. It's been 2 years, over 2 years. Um, Still hard. I'm still dealing. So I mean, I'm going into that story now. So I'm going to the younger Melissa. So the younger Melissa is still growing up, I guess I have to say. I'm still growing. I'm still growing, and I have to still keep growing. And I'm doing what I can do, and I'm making the best for my family. Um, my kids are doing great. I'm married. I got pets. I got a house. I got family. I've got my bestest friend in the whole wide world, which is my sister. And she is my strongest, most biggest supporter, and I love her to death. And that's basically all I have. I mean, I know I have my husband, my family, but my sister is my main person. All right, well, I'm going to end that for the Dear Melissa. I know it's a savvy story. Um, I got more stories to tell. I do. I really do. And I really need to talk. But this is all the time I'm allotted. So thank you. And I hope you guys listen. And I hope it's not too upsetting or too boring. All right. I'll see you soon. I love you. Bye.